First of all, you obviously know I'm Dean Meailing. We're here at Parkside Church. We're going to run through the Proclaim software and the training for that software today. So the question has come up, why train and proclaim? Why are we doing this training, etc.? We have done a little bit of training before, but I think it'd be really good to recap what we've done previously, and then to look at and revisit the basics, and then to look at how can we instill more confidence in the program, in what we're doing and how we're using it. Also to encourage creativity. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard when you're just trying to make it work, let alone then to have confidence and feel comfortable enough to actually input some creativity in there and actually have moving backgrounds and things of interest to to really make it pop. Those presentations just absolutely pop. So we want to make sure that all of that is good info, and also we want to make sure that this is a really good tool to communicate with the church. So that's why we're going to train in Proclaim again today. So by the end of today's session, what we're looking to do is use PowerPoint presentations inside of Proclaim. So we want to be able to import them, which is great. We want to be able to create a program signals calendar event. So we ran through quite a few announcements this morning. It'd be good if they automatically came up in the phones. So we're going to walk through signals and how to create a calendar event so that that kind of stuff automatically gets added to people's calendars. We're going to talk about adding song lyrics and of course moving backgrounds within that, how to add YouTube videos, and how to create timed slides and automatic transitions / countdowns. Is there anything else that anybody else was hoping that we would cover today? Yep, good. All right, I've got some of that in the notes. I was going to skip over that, but I will actually cover that today because it's on a slide already, so that's good. But I was going to skip it. I won't now. This is good. Excellent. All right. Is there anything else that anybody else thought maybe a good idea to cover? No? Cool. All right. So basically, the order in which we're going to run through this today, we're going to run through the actual downloading of the or importing of the PowerPoint slides. How to use Proclaim signals. We're going to customize the verse order in the songs. I'm going to have a look at little keyboard shortcuts for that as well. We're going to look at adding web video, whether that be a video file like this morning's rock climbing video, or perhaps a web-based video like a YouTube clip or something like that, maybe images or even music. We can have a certain build-up song or a song that we start to notify everyone out the back there that it's time to come in because it's the same song. It's that song playing. We better, like school, I suppose, like the ringing of the bell or the song that's playing before all the kids have to come back in from class. And finally, we're going to cover off the Proclaim remote app, which is an app that you can use on an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device to actually move the slides along. So you don't actually have to sit up the back there in front of the computer. You can do that. So you can actually make sure that it's all happening from your iPad. So that's possible. Just as a precaution, I'm going to talk about the safety side of things today. So fire exits, of course. We have a door here with the fire exit sign on it. We have doors out there and doors out here. We also have fire extinguisher over here, and we have stairs up to an attic. Don't go into there if there's a fire. Just sort of cover that off. So facilities, of course, you know where everything is in terms of coffees and teas and toilets, etc. And if anybody's not feeling that it's all sinking in, or you're getting a little bit fatigued, you should have got a coffee already. So that covers off the safety element. But if you do feel like it's not sinking in, or you're slowly going to sleep, by all means, stand up, have a little bit of a walk around, and try not to distract anybody else. We are going to move on straight into the actual Proclaim training now. So I was just saying, Pete, that we're just covering off the beginnings, so now we're actually going to go into the training. So who would like to help me out by reading this quote?
The outcome is less stress.
Oh, go for it. No, please go for it.
The outcome is less stress and a better presentation for our audience.
Great. So Jared's actually a volunteer for a deaf church over in the States, and he uses, for a few months now, they've been using Proclaim, and that's his quote that they've quoted him on. And the outcome is less stress and a better presentation for our audience, and that's exactly what we want for us as well. We want less stress, worrying about whether or not it's in there or it's working, etc. But we also want that presentation and the way that it's communicated to our church to be even greater than what it is now. So that's definitely, I think, a great reason to start using Proclaim. So what I want to do now is I just want to run through, there's a little bit of a video that Proclaim have put together about how to import the PowerPoint slides, etc. So I'm just going to quickly run through that, and we're going to play that now, and then straight after that we'll talk about any questions that we might have around importing PowerPoints, etc. So please excuse me half a second. Oh.
PowerPoint slides to your Proclaim presentation. Click the Add Item button in the top left, then choose Import PowerPoint. Select your PowerPoint file and click Open. Next, click the Add button to import the slides. You can further customize the slides by setting transitions or automatic timers to advance the slides during the service.
Great, so very quick, short and simple video. A lot of those videos are actually available, and I'll give you the address for those a little bit later. A lot of those videos are ready and available for your resource and for you to be able to watch, and when you're not here learning, that you're able to write things down, etc. as well. So I've got these handouts that have a lot of that information on it. But we're going to cover that and make sure that you're well and truly aware of what are the support resources you have after this presentation. So in terms of PowerPoint presentations, that was pretty straightforward. You just simply click within the service, you click Add Item, and a link down the very bottom, one of the options is Import PowerPoint. So from there, it'll import them as an image. So each slide is an image, and it won't necessarily do transitions, so it cuts out the transitions. So if you have fancy transitions, etc., it's not going to come through. It's just going to take all of those slides as an image, and you're able to click through them. Case in point this morning, when there was a Bible verse in quite a few of the slides, you could import the rest of the keynote or PowerPoint as the slides, but the Bible verses, we could actually stick them in as Bible verses, and then they could actually go to people's phones as well, so they could have the reference of the Bible verses that you spoke about this morning actually on the phones. So that's another cool thing that we can talk about and discuss a little bit further. The other good thing is, being cloud software, it means that you could do this at home, for example, synchronize it, and hopefully it should be synchronized with the presentation up here. So we've all working off the same document, all working off the same presentation, regardless of where we logged in from and what type of computer we logged in from. So in terms of PowerPoint, is there any questions regarding PowerPoints, etc., that you wanted to ask right now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we've got Apple,
Yes.
we have to, I was
Export it.
importing
Yeah.
Keynote into PowerPoint.
Right.
But then when I upgraded,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. So what we have to do now is make it into an image file.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't work from
I've
PowerPoint.
done it now. It's
Upgraded that?
yes. Yeah, so that one's upgraded. The Proclaimer's also upgraded since we last spoke about it as well.
So I'll give it a try next week.
Yeah, just export it. What you could do is your computer is normally created on your laptop. Is that right? On your? Oh, so it's on your iMac.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then you bring a USB stick in.
Yes.
That's fine. Bring it in as a keynote.
I'll do it as a keynote next week as well as the other, just in case.
Yeah. Bring it in as a keynote, because we've got keynote here, and keynote on here can export it as a PowerPoint, and then we can import it, or we can actually export it out of the keynote here as images and just put in the images that we want. So there's two different ways that we could do that. Is that?
Yeah.
That's good.
Jaden showed me how to do it as an image.
Oh, perfect.
File, so
Perfect.
I'm using an image file.
Yeah, cool. All right, excellent. Good. Any other questions about PowerPoint, importing PowerPoints, etc.? No, pretty straightforward. Okay, great. Well, Proclaim Signals. I wanted to recap what Proclaim Signals was. Basically, it's like we were talking about before, sending a calendar event over to the phones. It could be Bible verses that we were talking about before. It could be, what's some of the other, oh, hang on, I'll flick to the next slide. They're sitting right there. It could be someone's contact card or someone's contact information. There could be a certain web address or something associated with a particular guest speaker that we have, or perhaps there's a particular website you wanted to point the congregation to. Signals you can create, and they sit within, I guess, an item rather than a slide. What I mean by item is that for example, if you have a song has many slides to it, but it's one song with all of its words. That's I suppose, a service item. So it sits within an item rather than individual slides. This morning we had a few slides in regards to announcements, but that one group of announcements or that particular block is one service item. So we could have all the calendar events, all the calendar bits and pieces tied in with that one announcement block, regardless of how many slides we had for the announcements. And then that way everybody will get that calendar event on their phone, which is really cool. Bible references we talked about, Logos references. Yeah, so there's actually quite a few different types of signals that can be created. In the program itself, it actually allows for donations, etc. as well. Unfortunately, it's linked to a US PayPal account, etc. So I don't recommend using it here in the church. It just won't work. But Don, you mentioned earlier how to actually put Proclaim on your phone or get Proclaim signals. And I think it's something that once we get the hang of and once we're really utilising it, I think then perhaps we'll spend 2 to 5 minutes with the church actually going through, hey, download this and this is what you can actually get the information on your phone. But basically, within the actual software itself, we need to make sure the address is correct, which I've done before. We then need to get the people who are interested in having this on their phones to download the Logos software, so the Logos app. By downloading the Logos app, it'll then have the Faith Life section. It'll then have an area where you can follow nearby presentations. And our church presentation, I think it comes up as Parkside 1, comes up, and we're able to work through that there. If you followed a group before, it also then prompts you as soon as it goes on air and you're in the area. So people's phones will actually start to prompt them to take them out to follow and to download the calendar events and things like that as well. So that'd be very good. This slide, as I said, I was going to skip this slide, so I'm just making sure there's nothing I'm leaving out on this slide. Everything else is covered in that particular slide, but basically, we just need to encourage everybody to download that particular app, and then they'll start receiving the Bible references, calendar events, etc. Another great thing that you can do with this with these signals is that you can actually start to do surveys. So you can actually start to have people who've got the devices, you can encourage them to use them and to be part of what's going on, and you can actually survey them and have maybe a multiple choice 1 to 4 different answers, or perhaps did you know that such and such happened in such and such a time, and people can say yes or no. So you can actually start to create surveys, and these can go live, so you can actually use them as a part of a slide, and you can see people's responses live coming through, a lot like the worm, I suppose, we've had with recent political things recently. But you can have it live, or you can have it in a slide later down the track to show the results as well. So surveys, it's quite a clever little thing, and a little bit of interactivity with the congregation. So, responding. So they may change their response as well, by the way. So if down the track they've gone, why did I press yes? I should have pressed no. They can change their response, as it says here in the slide. Any ideas around what, now that I know that I've only just presented it to you, but any ideas around surveys or anything like that anybody has any ideas or anything creative that they might want to bring up with the group now about how to use surveys to benefit all of us? Tough question.
Camp at the end of the year, who's interested?
Camp at the end of the year. Yeah, good one. Yep. Yep.
Any of the things we're having, who'd be interested in coming along too.
Yeah. We had the games night last night, etc. So the survey the week before, there's some ownership, there's some interactivity in there. Yeah, I'd love to come. Yeah, it's good. Well, if it's all right with you, I'm going to keep going through some of the other bits and pieces in here, specifically the next signal that we want to do, and she's dropped off. The next signal that we want to do is proclaim signals of the Bible references. So you can actually have within there, and I was talking about this before, you can actually have the slides so that some of the images from your presentation can come through, but then the Bible references themselves, so people can actually have them on their phones later. You can put them into Proclaim, and Proclaim will actually not only take your particular Bible reference, but then it'll also allow you to choose different versions, etc. So the Message, or King James, etc. Yeah, exactly right. So you can definitely do that within Proclaim, and then that way everybody's got it for later on, and then can also change the version that they're looking at as well for further clarification. Within again, this is linked to Logos, so this is linked to the Logos app, etc. By the way, when you add a Bible verse, all you need to do is type in the reference. It automatically adds the signal. It automatically formats it correctly, and if it's a long one, like you've got 15 verses or so, it automatically sets it out and sets the right amount of pages, etc., to really spread that across as many pages as possible. So it's really quite clever in the way that you just have to type in a reference, and there it all is, which is great. Song lyrics. So all you have to do now is tap on add and then song lyrics, and then under song you can just type the title of a song. All of our songs should actually be in there now, so when you type that song title, they should actually be in the computer, which is great. But just in case it's a new one, etc., you can add that as a file if you wanted to. So if it's someone's written it out on a document or something like that, you can actually import that text as the lyrics, and it will format it correctly within Proclaim automatically. So it picks up a lot of the formatting and uses that. So in terms of putting in songs, etc., or perhaps even you could make a recommendation to the worship leader for a song that really connects with what you're going to speak about. You can then make sure that that particular song is in there, and you could do that on your computer at home or your iMac, anywhere. Anybody that can log in and be part of this can log in, put that particular song in there, and everything's formatted correctly and ready to go straight away. Same with YouTube clips and other things like that, but I'll get to that in a moment. In terms of customizing the order, songs that are in there, we probably haven't set a particular order with a lot of those songs because we haven't linked it with the CCLI license that we have. Even though I've put our license in there, it's not a license that gives us the ability to download all the songs automatically. Because of that, it's actually a good thing. I thought it'd be easier to import all those songs. It's actually a good thing that we're not linked because there's quite strict and rigid in the way that it's all done. Whereas because we're not part of that and we're just writing it all up ourselves, it means that there's a lot of flexibility in whether or not we go to the next verse or the next chorus, etc. So in terms of customizing the order, it's pretty straightforward. Any questions?
Dean, on the screen in Proclaim, in the edit, there's a little box up the top that has chorus, verse, all written in, right? No, it's on the screen
Up there?
up there.
Like that?
No, you know on the screen you go to.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I know. But you write in where it's near where the title is.
Yep.
And it lists. You can do verse 1, verse 2,
Yep.
chorus, bridge, and there's a little box at the side of it. If the little box is ticked,
Yes.
it will do only those.
In that order.
Even if in the song all the verses are there.
Yes.
So what I've been doing is getting rid of the tick.
Good.
Because I've been caught a few times
Yeah.
when the box is ticked,
Yep.
even though everything's written in there,
Yes.
it will not play it.
No, it will only do the order that you input.
That is up on that
Correct.
top thing.
Correct. Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And how we could use that is we could use that for a little bit of continuity, a little bit of making sure it's all the same. However, if somebody does then repeat the second verse or something along those lines, yeah, you can actually use a keyboard shortcut, which is actually on the next slide actually. But before I go there, you can actually use you can actually use a keyboard shortcut to go press the number 2, and it goes back to verse 2. But this slide is talking about what you're talking about, where it could be in a particular order. And for example, verse 1, pre-chorus, chorus 1, verse 2, it could be in a particular order. You can shorten that down to, for example, down the bottom there, 1, comma, P, comma, C, comma, 2, etc. So it can be shortened if you see it shortened. But you can type in the full description up there. You can type in the word verse 2, or you could just type in 2, and it will do the same thing. The good thing about getting in the habit of doing the shorthand and the short version is that when it comes to changing it, like you said, you can then actually hit the C on the keyboard and it will go to the chorus straight away. Regardless of what the song order is locked in, you press C and it will go to C. You press 2 and it will go to the second verse.
Yeah.
You press P and it will go to the pre-chorus, etc.
One of the issues is you have to really know the song well.
That's true.
To do that.
That's true.
And if you don't, and you need we've
Yeah.
actually got the book at the side of us.
Yeah.
And that would probably be the only way we could do it, to actually open it to each song so that it was there and we could just click to whatever.
Yeah, right.
Are the shortcuts in there automatically, or?
They're in there automatically, but as you've already done, you can switch them off.
No, I mean if you
Oh,
wanted
sorry.
to go back to it,
Yep.
verse 2.
Yep.
Is that automatically in there, or do we have to set it up?
It is automatically in there, but there may, because I haven't looked at the formatting for a little while, there may be songs in there that say it's verse 2 when it's actually chorus 2, or so we would have to have a look at the formatting of the ones that are in there. But it should be right. Again, it does a lot of automatic stuff. So if you don't actually have the word chorus in front of it, it might just, and you've got 4 paragraphs in this particular song, it might just say verses 1 through to 4. It might say there's verse 1 chorus, verse 2 chorus again. I'm not sure how it picks up that automatic formatting, but it does.
Right. So you're better off to write verse 1, verse 2 chorus.
Yeah, exactly right. And you still can put 1 or V1 or something like that as well if you wanted to on the lyrics themselves, and it'll choose to ignore that, but make that its sort of heading to know, hey, that's the first verse. So, but yeah, while you're on air and somebody changes something or does something that wasn't expected, you should be able to push the hotkeys. But yeah, we want to make sure you know the song and you have that reference somewhere. Otherwise, clicking it when it's got a locked-in set order, that's going to be quite difficult, as you said. It just won't do it. Any more? Actually, before I move on, any more questions about song lyrics? Oh, I did mention we were going to add backgrounds as well, moving backgrounds. So I'll close this because she's gone. Moving backgrounds, basically with the background option, you can actually select an image file. Those image files can be things like GIFs. A GIF is or GIF. GIF is a type of file, a GIF file that is a moving image, and it's sort of maybe 7 or 8 images that are backed up against each other, and it looks like animation. So you saw this morning with the yellow background, there's some movement in there and there's some twinkles, etc. It's not distracting, but it's a lot more pleasing on the eye than just a static flat yellow background. It's obviously a lot more visual. So you can do moving backgrounds within there. There are, if you Google I think there's some YouTube clips and there's some stuff like that you could also use. But if you Google some simple moving backgrounds for presentations, you'll be able to find a lot of simplistic, 7-second kind of loop transitions and backgrounds and be able to use those. There's also, Proclaim has a lot of free ones that are in there, but then there's also over 10,000 paid ones, etc. We had a look, we got a free version of the media with the over 10,000 bits and pieces. It took too long to search, and on top of that, we just weren't at that stage of being able to use it, so I let it go. I didn't want it to continue because I didn't think it was worth paying. It was almost as much as the license again. It was quite like, $100 a year or something. So didn't want to continue using that, knowing that we weren't really going to get the best value out of that. And sure enough, we found Owen. I know Owen mentioned he found some stuff online. I know Jaden's done a lot of this cool stuff as well. So so there's a lot of cool moving backgrounds that we can start to use. And because they've added them once, they should actually be already saved in Proclaim, so you can just reuse them. You don't have to go and search for them. You can just reuse the ones that these guys have come up with as well. Adding video, like this morning, we had the rock climbing video. You can actually add that video and specifically add it just to that computer and not synchronize it to the whole group and to the whole cloud. The thing to note with video files is that there's actually a limit of 200 meg. So just to be aware of that, if it's a larger file size than that, which is 200 megs, quite large, but if it's a larger file size than that, then we'll just play it directly from the computer. But where possible, it's probably a good idea to put it within Proclaim, because then, it just, everything's formatted, everything's correct, it comes up full screen, it moves on to the next slide, there's no, blue screen or transition or anything along those lines. So where possible, add the video. I don't think we did this morning. I think Owen just played it, which was fine.
No, it was in Proclaim.
It was in Proclaim. Yes. This is awesome. Very cool. Well, the other thing is we were talking about this a little while ago, downloading YouTube clips and getting YouTube clips so that we could put them in Proclaim as well as a video file. Well, Proclaim has updated quite a lot of its video stuff that it's doing, and it will now do YouTube properly, Vimeo as well. So there's a lot of, well, you'll see here, there's a lot of formatting, etc., that you could do, but don't worry about what this says necessarily. Don't let this freak you out. All this is saying is you can do it normal size, full screen, and autoplay. So as soon as you transition to that particular YouTube clip, it will automatically start playing. So this is more as a reference that if you copy and paste the YouTube link into Proclaim, you'll actually start to recognize some of the formatting, because you'll look at this and you'll go, right, that full screen one is just youtube.com/v/ the weird YouTube name that it gives that particular video. And so you'll know, great, that'll be full screen, perfect. Or if it says watch ?V, it's kind of waiting for your prompting. It's waiting for you to say, yes, go and watch it, and then it will only be a little small video. It won't actually be full screen. So I've put this there as a reference rather than you having to program this in or type this in or know what you're doing with this. It's just so that you can go, hang on, was that full screen or not? And you'll have, you'll see the words autoplay there. Great, that's going to automatically play. It's just a reference. But yeah, in terms of, let me go backwards. You can embed them in the presentation. It can be customized your web addresses, so that's what URLs are. Customized web addresses that can be full screen as well. Now this is a little bit small, so sorry about that. But basically images. Let's say we take a ton of images from the rock climbing night and we just want to transition through a couple of those images. It's not something that Donna's already gone to the effort of putting into a, I guess a full-on clip like the video this morning. It doesn't require that formatting. It's just someone who took photos of the working bee, or the playground equipment being opened, and etc. So those photos can just be in there. We can add those images just simply by clicking Add Images, and it can, when you click more than one, it will do a slideshow. You can set the timing for that slideshow to be automatic. You can set it to be when you click. All of the settings are there when you actually add that service item and import that. So that's really straightforward. Another good thing.
Sorry, Dean.
Please.
If you put them on the desktop, somebody brings
Yep.
photos on a stick,
Yep.
put them on the desktop,
Yep.
and you can import it from.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. It's also good practice to, if you do download images or video or anything to the computer, download it to the desktop so that we all know that it's there, and then once you've finished using it for the service or what have you, delete it. It's just a good way to know where stuff's hidden and where stuff's, rather than fill up the computer full of stuff that it doesn't actually need. It's a good idea to put it on the desktop so you can use it. Once it's used and you no longer need it, for the following service or anything like that, you can put it in the trash then. Yeah, just to keep everything clean. Elements we use quite a bit here in church, which has been great. I see today we've added another element at the end of the service that talks about parent supervision for the playground. So that's really, really good. We also have a little bit of, have a good week, etc. Join us for coffee and tea. That's another one that's up there, etc. So these post-service loops will repeat and repeat until someone actually clicks that we're off air, and we're no longer continuing with that. So it's a great little loop. The same can be said of the beginning of the church as well. It can be a pre-service loop. The band might be practicing, etc., but it's great just to have a loop up there to connect people with what we're doing. It could be our Facebook, it could be Twitter, it could be events that are coming up. We could put announcements, etc., just looping up there as well.
Countdown?
The countdown is also, there can be let's say we put 5 to 10 slides over here and they just transition through those and transition through those until 2 minutes to go. And then once it's 2 minutes to go, it switches to a countdown clock, and it can do a countdown animation or a clock or what have you, and we can have that have audio as well. That can be it can be a video, it can be audio. I was just saying before, we could actually have it so that a particular piece of audio plays on that last 2 minutes, so that everybody out there knows, oh, it's that song and we should come in. So we can set those things up within Proclaim as well. So we can actually have audio on a particular part of the service. So yeah, it could also be communion. For example, at the beginning of communion, for the first 20 seconds, it can just be a particular piece of keyboard that we've picked up, and it's just a little bit of pad, a little bit of synth, just to transition us into that mood of we've come from announcements and everything, and then you hear the soothing keyboard, and then the person starts speaking, and that slowly fades away automatically. We can have it set to 20 seconds, so that it's all automatic. And then if it becomes too obvious or too annoying, you can just click the next button, and that will stop. So rather than a distraction, it could be a little bit of a gap filler automatically, which is nice, and bring the congregation again familiarity. They hear that sound and they know what it's time for next. So we can start to set those things up. And a lot of that can be, the pre and post can all be timed as well. So we can actually time it to 10:35, it will build up to 10:35, or 10:30 exactly, it'll build up to 10:30. We can then transition it so the other parts start playing at 10 past 12, so that if we've forgotten to go to the next slide, or we've switched to something else, or etc., at 12:15, it will actually take over and start to transition through those end slides all over again. It'll also hurry up anyone who's speaking here past 12:15 as well. Oh, the slides have started. All right. We covered audio, so you can actually have some audio associated with particular parts. Again, it's items, so it's not necessarily a slide, but rather items. So just to remember that. Lastly, we're going to talk about the remote app. So Proclaim has an app. Oh, and I've deleted it. Proclaim has an app. Pretty sure I've got it on my phone.
Dean's got it on his phone, Bob.
Yep, there we go. It'll be on his tablet, which would probably be better than this anyway. But you can see here, it's actually got which services is going. So I've got Proclaim training there. I could actually tap on that, and then it's loading it up now.
Run it from there.
I can run it from my iPhone. Not as good as running it from a tablet, I've got to say. Running it from, it could be an Android or an Apple, iPad. There we go. So it's got the actual slide that's there now, and now I can start to transition through it. And I haven't set it up so that I'm starting that, but you could start the service from here, control it from here. So if there's ever, an instance where, Pete, you've got the everything there in front of you, you could actually have the slide and your notes, and then you could slide to the next slide. So you could actually control it from here, so that it's moving along with what you're speaking about right then. And the timing's always perfect because you're the one, sliding it to see what your notes are for the next thing. Yeah, that's why you don't do it, yeah. Because you go off on here on a tangent and you're like, hang on, and then slide. Yeah. But yeah, there's you could start to use the mobile app. Again, if that's scary for the moment, stick with it until you're comfortable. I want you to be comfortable. Start to use a little bit more of the features that are in there and be really happy with what it's got in there and what we can achieve. Then if you want to sit with your family and you're not necessarily wanting to be tied to the desk, it has that option available so that you can transition to the next slide, etc. I think when we first got this, probably a few of you saw me take over when it was disaster recovery. I took over on my iPad and started to control it from my iPad. It is very hard to then get control back to the desk, but it's possible. But it's good for someone to just be on backup to take over just in case. But I think we're past that stage. I think we're okay now. Was there anything else that we wanted to cover? I haven't got her online, so I haven't got any other formal part of what I have to do. She's obviously ticked the boxes, which is great. So if there's anything else that you wanted to cover, I'm quite happy to run through it. Yep.
Just wondering if you could put videos or your PowerPoint
Yes.
straight from home.
Yes.
So how do you do that? Do you just...
Have you got Proclaim on your laptop?
I've got it on my computer.
Yeah.
You've got
I
it.
think I've got it on my laptop too.
Fantastic.
But not on the
Okay. On the iPad, don't worry about it. The iPad's just to swipe
Yeah.
like we're doing. But the on the computer, you can look at the service that's coming up. You click it. I guess when you open it up, it should have a lot of information there in front of you. And if you don't know what you're looking at, that's okay. Start with Open. When you click Open, you'll see there's probably about 7 presentations in there now. And you'll see the one that's there for next week, and you can start to use some of the ones that are there. You can see the different colours, the different themes. So open one that's set up for next week, and then you can see, which will probably be used from last week, and you can see in there down the left-hand side, a lot like on iTunes. On the left-hand side, it's got all of the items that we were talking about, like PowerPoint. Exactly right. It's got all of the items that we've been talking about, so songs will be listed there, announcements, etc. All of these slides will be there. When you click on that announcements slide, for example, you wanted to update it, you could change the text that's in there just simply by typing in it. It's pretty straightforward. You could add more text or add another slide to that particular item, which was the announcements. But then there's options within this section where the typing is. Above that, there's a lot of options there. And those options are the signals, which we talked about today. Those options can be adding another slide. It can be customizing the background, customizing the text. Proclaim has opened a lot of that up now so that the text that you have in there doesn't have to be the theme that they've created. You can control it and make it more colourful or whatever you want to do with it. So that is what I would recommend is starting on. Eventually getting to the point where your presentation, you can start to make some of your sermon and your presentation within Proclaim. You'll have some of the slides in there. There's actually add sermon, I think, is one of the things, and it'll actually preload about 4 slides, and one of them is the opening title, one of the first points, a Bible reference, and then the finishing point. So it'll automatically put those 4 in, and then you can just, yeah. Then you could just add, your information and add another Bible reference and add those things. So that Bible reference would already have that signal, so that the congregation gets that on their phone. So again, it's worth playing around with one of the older ones even. The one that I've got in there at the moment called Proclaim Training, blow that up, really just go to town, put all sorts of stuff in there, have a play around with it. If you break it, it doesn't matter. That's not a service. It's called a service within Proclaim. It's not a presentation or a service that we're really hanging on to. It's one that's kind of spare. So by all means, put stuff in there, see if it works, see if it doesn't, check how it looks, and have a play around with it. Yeah.
So because you're in Proclaim,
Yep.
it will then go up onto the cloud.
It will then synchronize to the group.
Okay.
Now, when you upload a PowerPoint presentation or a video, it'll ask you, do you want to synchronize to the group, or is this only on this computer? So when you do it only to your computer, you won't see it, the rest of the group won't see it, and it won't be synchronized.
Now, can I ask a question, Dan? If you do this on your own computer at home, how do you have to sync it, and then it will then be here.
Yep. So what happens is when you input all of this information on your computer, while it's all going through, you can actually see a green kind of two arrows chasing each other, like a recycle kind of a symbol in the top right-hand corner. If that's green, everything's synchronized, or it's going to do a synchronize shortly, etc. If it's red or orange, it means that there's a problem, and it's not synchronizing to the group. So that's okay. If you go somewhere remote, let's say you go to the mountains or something and you want to type all of this out, you can create all of this on Proclaim, not an issue, and you're completely offline. That's fine. When you come back to somewhere where there's Wi-Fi, you then click that red circle button, and then you can synchronize all of the stuff that you've done back to the group, and then everybody can see it. And it'll be up here, which is good.
So that can go onto everybody's phone as well?
Yeah, so
It's more between like our computer and this computer.
correct,
Okay. Yeah.
correct, yeah.
So whatever's on here, people can get on their phone?
Not quite. The Bible verses, so there's signals, contact cards, calendar information, Bible references, surveys. Those things are definitely interacted with on the phone, but in terms of your slides for the day, it's only with the people who have been invited to be part of the Proclaim group that are synchronizing stuff with this. We can revisit that and get everybody's logins. I'll get people to write their email addresses down here. And if you don't mind sticking around for giving me a little bit of feedback as well, just to give me a couple of lines so I can submit that as well, that'd be great.
If you've got your notes and you're flicking through them during the sermon,
Yep.
can you choose for some things to be seen on the screen, but then your notes, prompts and things for yourself, can that be seen, only seen on your computer or on your...
The presenter notes will only be on your screen.
Okay.
Yeah. There, you can also press on the iPad with the Proclaim app. Remember, it's a remote, so it's kind of like you're kind of like this, I suppose, where I'm just sliding and it goes back to the other slide and goes back to this, and then I can also let's see here. I can do current and notes. So you can see this is not the Proclaim app, but you can see here, there's the slide, and if there was writing in there, there's all my notes. You can do things like that. You can do black, so it can black it out. You can do, let's say this had a background, a wood background, like a dark grey wood background. You can set it so that it just goes to that with no text. You can set it so that it's just paused, so it can be paused on a particular one while you transition across. Do I need that slide? No. Transition across to the next slide. Unpause.
I'd like to know how to do that one.
Yeah. All right. All right. Good. Let me show you.
Oh, good. You're going to show us?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
With controlling the service from your iPad.
Yep.
I've got the app, I don't use it though.
That's fine.
I'm already logged in on my iPad. Will I need to log in? Would I need to log in on that computer?
No.
Okay, so if you're logged in, I can kind of hijack you.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't need to log into that and then log into my iPad.
Correct. Because you're part of the same group. It has a big red button saying control, and you tap that to take control of the presentation. So then you're in control on the iPad. And then to switch that out, you'll see that the computer at the back there will kind of take an extra second to check if it's okay that we're doing this next slide. So things up there will take an extra second or so if you've taken over, but you're in control from the iPad is the idea.
I think one of the issues I found at the beginning was it was very off-putting because there were a lot of people taking control, and at
right.
the back,
Yeah.
there was one person in particular who kept logging on, logging off, and it would alter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. Yeah.
It wasn't you.
I didn't know about that. Yeah.
And it would sort of, and 1 minute you'd be looking at the screen, and then just down the bottom it would jump up because it would say this person was logged on.
And taking control. Yeah.
And then it would go off again,
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of misinformation in the beginning because a few people who do those bits and pieces were then logging into the Proclaim app to get the signals that we've been talking about rather than the Logos app or the Faith Life app to get those signals. So I think there was a bit of misinformation of this. So they probably were getting on there to get that information and then went, that's the slides on the screen. Something's not right here. I'll just get out, which of course slows everything down. But let me show you. Yeah, that's correct. It should be, if you have a slide on to follow nearby presentations, it should, once we're active, it should hopefully pick that up. So, let's go across here. Press on there. Okay, so, I have no idea what I'm doing because I can't see now. I've got another idea actually. Let's do... Is this still going to work? There we are. Okay, so
Can you run us through?
Yeah.
We want to put a new song in.
Okay, let's do it. So from the top, we want, try this. That's the open button I was talking about before. These are the presentations that are in here. Okay, so these are just some of them that we've tried. This is the Proclaim training one that I was talking about before. So let's go to June services so we can actually see. This is the one that we used this morning. Okay, so we've got a welcome. For 10 seconds, you can see there it says 10 seconds. It automatically advances. That's good. So this is the pre-service loop. Those are the elements that we were talking about earlier. Okay. Then under Burning in My Soul, we've got this particular background. So this background is one that is the moving background, etc. Oh, thank you. Oh, well done. I didn't even know I could do that. So this is the moving background, etc. Here, we've got, see that slide order we were talking about before, it's unticked at the moment. But you could put in here that it goes in a certain order and it will, all you have to do is press across. And so if you've got verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, pre-chorus, chorus, etc., all you have to do is press across and it goes to the right slide. So that's the idea and the benefit behind putting it in this little section up here, is that you just have to press across. That's the idea, but we know in reality it doesn't always work like that. So adding a new song, we're going to go up here to add item. Can you all see that? Add item, song, right here. Song title, so... Oh, come on. Don't wig out on me now. Let's try from over here. There we go. Okay, so... Oops. And then you can see Amazing Love, Amazing Grace. These are the ones that are in our library. Yeah, they're in our library.
What if it's a totally new song?
Yep.
And it's not in our library?
Yep, so you'll type it in here and it won't appear.
Right.
Or it might come up with other suggestions that aren't it. Yep, so then you can actually then type the title of the song. So Dean's song. Good. And then in here you can start typing the lyrics.
Type the lyrics, okay.
Yep. If it's you've got it on a file, so it's digital. It's not on a piece of paper in front of you, written in front of you.
So if somebody's given it to us and we can put it on desktop.
Right. So let's say someone emailed it to you or something like that. Fantastic. You can then use that by clicking on File, just here.
Yep.
Click on File and then import. It could be a Word document. It could be anything that's text-based, really. and it'll pick that up and it'll import it automatically, which is great. Here you can start to put things like who wrote the song. For example, we had Melissa Jensen in one of the early ones there. Copyright, hymn number, you can add all of that information. You can, there's a few other things that it's got listed on here. You can actually have a title slide so that it announces the name of the song, and then it has the information like the CCLI license and things like that on there. You can put that on the first page. You can have it so that that's not on the first page, it's on every page. You can, this is really customizable. So have a look at all of these sections, because you can click on these blue bits and then change what that means. So show title every slide, show title on the final slide, on the first lyric, show the title. So again, here show credits, every slide. Use no transitions, or you can have like PowerPoint, you can have a transition where it fades in from one slide to the next. Because the background will be exactly the same, it's just the text that will fade. So it'll disappear and then appear on the other side. So you can have a transition in there. Transitions do take longer, so you kind of have to anticipate the change, press the button, and then the change happens.
Yeah, I think we're better without transitions because there's already seconds.
Yep.
Between pressing and appearing, so we're probably best without transitions for the song.
Yeah.
Well, fast ones anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. So again, it's all about the look and customization. So that is how you add a new song.
So if you're going to add a video,
yep.
would you just do the same thing?
No,
So let's delete this. We'll delete that song out of there. We will add another item, and you can see here, can I zoom? Yeah, beautiful. You can see here, we can add a song, a Bible verse. We can add, on-screen Bible is a little bit different. It's a kind of like there's some animations and stuff like that. It's more to do when you link it with Logos. So you can actually talk about, a verse about Noah, and then it'll actually have some animation of Noah's Ark and things like that. It's not what we're doing, but I just thought I'd let you know. Video, so the video would be how we'd add the rock climbing video from this morning, and you can actually see it's already in here. So there's other bits and pieces that we can pick up from that video. An image slideshow, so again, that's adding all those images together and just helping transition through those images. That image, adding an image is also a good thing if we have, someone's created a PDF that is our flyer for the next event that we have on, etc. So you can add that as an image. We had that up there for Rocktober for quite a while. So
does it have to be PDF? Or?
Doesn't, no. No, it can just be like a JPEG or an image of some sort. Yeah, absolutely. So then content is really straightforward. It's like a slide in PowerPoint where you're just typing words on there, and it doesn't have any important information, but it doesn't have anything particular on there. It's just words on a screen. That's what content's about.
Can we add the background on the plane?
Yes. Yep. So you can still have the same moving background that you had for everything else, and have that consistency, and have, please take your seats. That could be content. You could have, greet the person next to you. You could, whatever it is, that's what content could be. Announcement is the announcements, like this morning that we spoke about. And the good thing about announcements is it prompts you to do a lot of these signals. So it prompts you to put the calendar events in so that everybody gets those. Web page, again, straightforward. You just put in the web page and away you go. Really straightforward. The survey and then the survey results. The difference between those is one is obviously asking the question, and then the survey results is displaying the results. When asking the question within the survey, you can actually tick a section that says display live results. So as people click on it, you will see it. Or you could add a survey results slide later in the presentation. Let's see what people said, and then it goes to that survey results and it picks up the results.
Do they all have to have Proclaim on their phone?
They have to have that, that Logos app. So not Proclaim on their phone, but that Logos app to interact with it. And that's what I think. I think as soon as we get comfortable and good with this, then we teach the congregation to use it, and they'll go, right, there's some use to using that, rather than tell them how to use it, and then we're still kind of flailing on how to use it. I think we get comfortable first with signals, and then tell the congregation, hey, this is how to get connected, and get the calendar events automatically in your phone.
Can you have rosters go straight to your phone?
You
There's multiple calendar events.
Rosters, no, because you would basically just be saying whenever someone's on creche, and that's every week. So then it would just send a calendar event of every week. It wouldn't. You would have to create it every week, and then everyone would get the calendar event that Dean was on creche next week. So, not the perfect place to put it. There is another program that perfectly syncs with this, and it's a planning center. And with Planning Center, you input the person and their skill set. Sorry, ruined the mic there. Person and their skill set. So for example, I'm on creche and I'm also on drums. So therefore, I would input those into the Planning Center and say that I want to be on no more than twice a month. And it would roster me for drums once a month and roster me for creche once a month. And it would not overlap those, because that's how you set up the Planning Center. That kind of stuff then automatically fills out the roster and for all of the groups and for everyone, and then across different ministries and across different streams, it still rosters those people exactly as the parameters have set out, and they can also add unavailability and things like that. Then that can perfectly work into here as well, because within Planning Center you can also start to plan what songs you're going to do at what point, and that synchronizes with this. And so there's a lot of cool stuff out there that links with this. Again, I want to make sure we get this. Yeah, and then once, because we have a need for that rostering type of a program, but for what we can do at the moment, I think we're doing okay.
Tricks, have you got how to put a song in there?
Yes, I do, but I still struggle with that arrow, like when you're doing the songs.
Yep.
Now, unticking that box is very helpful, but sometimes if you're not sure, or I don't pick up what they're singing, and I want to go back, it just shoots all over the place. I can't even find out where I am, and it takes, by the time I've found it, they're generally finished.
Yeah, right. Well, let's